The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Rugby Preview, and as usual I'm joined by Robin Purdie, and as we know last week's Borders matches were wiped out by the frost, so let's crack on with a look at tomorrow's matches. And starting in the Premiership, we have two derbies. Table toppers Hawick go into their 50th consecutive month of not losing at Mansfield Park, and tomorrow they take on the club at the bottom of the league, still looking for their first win in Jed Forest, who lost 61-0 at Riverside Park earlier in the season. Well, let's hear from Jed coach David Grieve, but first, head coach of the Greens, Matty Douglas.
We know how good a side Jed can be on their day, and look, they've had a tough season. I think everybody can kind of see how hard it's been for them. I know it would be frustrating as a coach to go through what they're currently going through, but hopefully that kind of break of last week and I'll have got them a few players back, and they'll be able to pick a strong squad. But look, Jed, when they play with tempo and play with width, they're a tough side to beat. They've got a lot of quality, youngsters in there, and also a quality backline. So look, the way we approach games, we're not taking this for granted. We'll have to work hard for any sort of points, but we feel we're at a stage now that we can really kick on, and at the end of the day we're getting into the last 4 or 5 games of the regular season, and we need to start hitting some form, and that's a challenge to these players. We've put bits and pieces together, but I'm looking for that 80-minute complete performance, and I think the players know that it needs to start happening. So look, we'll go into like any other game. We'll try and win the set piece. We'll try and be dominant in attack and defence, and try and take our opportunities, and we're getting better at that. I think the last couple of weeks it's got some try bonuses in there. So look, we'll look to play our own game, but we know how tough a challenge this will be when Jed are looking for their first win of the season. So again, squad wise, it's the exact same squad that was picked to play Currie last week, so a bit of consistency in selection, and try and reward a few boys to give them an opportunity that they didn't get last week. So look, we're looking forward to another border derby, and I know there's a big lunch on before the game, so we'll look to put a performance on in front of our home supporters.
So on Saturday we were supposed to play Heriots at Jed, but obviously it was called off due to the weather. This week we're up at Hawick. Again, there's no bigger challenge at the moment in club rugby than playing Hawick, especially at Hawick. They're the double winners for a reason. They've not just got the best team, they've probably got the best squad as well. But for us, there's no pressure on us. We just have to go up there, just try and be positive in attack, positive in defence, and look to score points, and give us something to build on, even for the next couple of games. I think we've got Heriots actually next week now, so let's give us something to build on for that game. It's got to be tough, but to be fair to us at the moment, all the games are tough. We just got to go there and have a go.
And have a go, I'm sure they will. So Robin, the odds very much stacked against Jed Forest on paper, but they'll take heart from their performance against the second place team, Mar, when they came to Riverside Park. But this is a different ball game at Mansfield Park.
It is, isn't it? They went pretty well against Mar. We covered that game, and they were impressive in patches, but as you say, this is a completely different animal, and David's right, Hawick have got the strongest squad in the league. It's great. It's Derby Day in the Borders. It'll be, not the best of weather. It's the winter. It's going to be under the lights potentially. But there's 52 points of a difference between them in the table, and it's hard to see anything other than a 5-point win for Hawick.
First 10-15 minutes going to be absolutely crucial in that one.
Yeah, definitely. If Jed can stay in the fight, then possibly Hawick start to maybe the nerves creep in a wee bit. If Jed can stay in the fight, maybe even till half time. But the flip side is, if Hawick rack up a couple of early scores, 2 or 3 early converted scores, then Jed could be staring down the barrel.
Well, the other border derby is between Selkirk and Kelso at Philippoch, and we can listen to both camps now. Director of Rugby at Kelso is Neil Hinnigan, and first Selkirk head coach Sesh Henderson.
No better way to get back into it after a week off is like a border league game with Kelso. Yes, that's going to be a tough 80 minutes. But exciting for us, because last night we just concentrated on what all about us and what we were going to do in terms of our attacking and defence. A really good session back in. I think the boys have, even though disappointed the game was off last week. It was an opportunity for some niggles just to get a wee bit more rest. The boys came back in refreshed and worked extremely hard. We're just working on the key fundamentals of our attack and defence going into Saturday's game, which is going to be an intense 80 minutes of rugby. It was the last time upon the park, and we just squeezed over for a win. We were trying the last couple of minutes. And I'll take that again this week, but we know what we need to do against Kelso, because they're a smart side, physical side, led by Bruce McNeil. But for us, it's all about getting the right territory in the park, everybody knowing their roles and executing them and getting that physicality right at the breakdown. When they break down against Kelso and go forward ball, then I think we'll find space, and I think our backs have really come on the last couple of games, some good tries. So we're hoping to create that space for them and get over the line with a much needed win at home.
Probably is a little bit extra on this one, given that they came to Poynter and beat us, and it was a match that we felt, in many ways probably Selkirk stole it, but I think they deserve a lot of credit for that, because to get that situation they had to work hard and stay in the game, and they did that very, very well. I think we got the kicking game all wrong that day, and looking back at it, it was one that probably got away. But we in a border derby, you could play well all game, and the opposition doesn't and still beat you, and that's the great thing about border derbies. Anything can happen. I don't think home advantage is even a big thing in a border derby. I think sometimes the pressure on the home side can be harder, and hopefully that's the case for Selkirk this week. They maybe feel they slightly need to win more as us. I don't know how they feel about it, but I would say that if we can make amends for that defeat Poynter by winning at Philip Hawke, then that would balance itself out for us. I think we've got a fully fit squad, give or take. No excuses or complaints that way. I think we've not had a game for 2 weeks, so we're actually a bit undercooked. Probably that's probably going to be our biggest problem, is that we've not had rugby for around 3 weeks when we play Selkirk. So that's a problem, but that's what happens in a season. You've got to overcome that.
Selkirk looking for a double over Kelso this season.
Yeah, we were at that game down at Poynter, and Neil mentioned there, there's possibly a bit of revenge in there. Would it be fair to say that on that day it felt like a bit of a shock result, while taking nothing away from Selkirk? Because as Neil mentioned, giving them credit there, they really did dig in, they hung in, and they scored a wonderful try right at the end to nick it. So tough one to call this. You'd say maybe Kelso might go into slight favourites, but with Selkirk having won down at Poynter, it's really hard to tell. If Kelso are at full strength, you'd possibly say they might have a slight edge, but it's got the makings of a really good one, this.
It certainly has, and of course the last time Selkirk played at Philip Hawke, it was against Mar. Didn't play very well at all, conceded 50 points, so they'll be hoping that they get back on the bus at Philip Hawke, particularly because they've got a new refurbished stand, which is going to be opened by Colin Rugby of the SRU, the president. Yeah,
and hopefully we'll get a Selkirk well supported club as our Kelso, so hopefully they'll get a big turnout for the grand reveal. But yeah, I think we've spoken before about how we didn't really see the margin of Mar's victory at Philip Hawke coming there. Selkirk looked like they were on a wee bit of an upturn, but so yeah, this is going to be a tough one to call, and I agree with Neil to an extent that home advantage in a game like this, home advantage maybe isn't all it's cracked up to be.
It's not that far, is it, from Kelso fans to pop along down the road to Philip Hawke? I think Kelso will not want to concede a double over Selkirk. I think there'll be an extra bit of bite there.
Yeah, I would suggest so. Against a border rival, you don't want to lose home and away. That's for sure. Obviously, the weather forecast's not meant to be great for the next couple of days. Might we see anyone from Kelso up at Philip Hawke on Friday in their wellies?
Oh yes, that's happened before, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
And of course, obviously being Kelso and Selkirk, border derby and everything else, and a level as well, maybe we're going to get back to the old border derbies that we used to have, which are like the 6-3 classics.
Well, if it's going to go back to that, it probably is this weekend. But I really like that. It's a winter, it's a December border derby. It's almost like a bit of a throwback. I remember games like this when I was a kid. Stinking weather, attritional, good old-fashioned steam coming off the scrums, that kind of thing. And yeah, I think this has got the makings of an old school border ding-dong.
Could be one for the purists,
yeah.
But we'll be there anyway with Ewan Welsh and Scott Tomlinson calling this one. Also in the programme, as I mentioned, the Scottish Rugby Union President Colin Rugby will be there. We'll be having a chat with him before kick-off. Also having a chat at length with Stephen Turnbull, one of the region's top referees, who'll be giving us an update on how recruiting is coming on. It's also the 60th anniversary of the Borders Rugby Referees Society. We'll be chatting about that. Also the abuse of referees, which still haunts the game. We'll drill down on many other subjects as well. So well worth a listen on the show tomorrow, which you can tune in as usual at rugbyradio.co.uk with a click of the mouse. And on to National 1, and Gala travel to league leaders Ayr, hoping to burst the bubble of the Millbrae men, who haven't been beaten in 12 outings this season. Here's Director of Rugby at Gala, Ewan Swinton.
Pretty clear what game plan they will play to. They will look for penalties, they'll kick to touch, and they'll use their very able pack to tremendous effect, I'm sure. So we need to be careful about penalties. We need to be ultra aggressive in the forwards. We do not need to be in any way passive against them. And then when we do get our hands on the ball, we need to trust the fast-flowing play that we have in our armour. It's certainly not a situation where we go up with any kind of fear of playing against Ayr. We know that we can take them on, particularly out wide. So I think that we seek as much parity as possible in the forwards, and then get guys like Scott Peppers, Murray Wilson, and the rest running at them hard, and with the real determination that we've shown recently. Our backs don't go down easily, so I think the chances of keeping the ball live and open are very real, and we have a game that can give Ayr a real challenge. There's no doubt that Ayr are the predominant force in the league just now, but that makes them a tremendous target. It's fun to go and play against teams like that, because you're not going with anyone's expectations on your shoulders, but we're becoming a side that can be quietly confident that we can do things, and I think a big performance is certainly coming along for us, and who knows, it might be this weekend. So we'll travel up to Ayr full of confidence, very realistic about what we're facing, what we need to do to counter it, but we've got ability. Let's go there and show it.
Well, I'm certain the Gala players will be motivated by that. I'm certainly motivated just listening to him.
Yeah, every week he gets you wanting to run through a brick wall there, but no, great that he's always so positive. Absolutely, and he's right to be at the moment about Gala. Of course, it's the biggest challenge they will face this season. Anybody in this division, it's the same going down to Millbrae. You know, they are the best team in the league, but Gala, this is the meeting of probably the league's two form horses. If anybody probably between now and the end of the season is going to give Ayr a run, then you'd have to say it looks on current form like it could be Gala, but it's a gargantuan task. But yeah, Gala can go down there, nothing really to lose. Craig Keddy's back from after many years from Barramure and then Super Rugby. That's a big boost for Gala, but we've seen Ayr recently, and they've got the Joe Staffords up front and the buzz bomb that is Purdie in the back row. Really, really good players. So tough old mission for Gala, but yeah, they can go in with the confidence that a few wins on the bounce will give you.
They'll no doubt have had a look at Melrose's video, 69-34. Melrose were 12-0 up, going great guns in the first 10 minutes. But all the teams this year have come up short against Ayr. Where can Gala win this?
It's hard to see where anybody in this division can beat Ayr, to be honest, but I think Gala can take some heart from the fact that Melrose scored as many points as Melrose did, as other teams have got close to as well this season. So, Ayr's defence can be breached. It's just a case of your own defence holding firm against an accomplished set of backs and a really, really, really well-drilled pack of forwards. So, yeah, Ayr can be scored against. So, yeah, I think that's what Gala have to look at. But yeah, there's two sides to the Melrose game against Ayr. There's great, Melrose scored some points, but yeah, Ayr scored some points as well.
Also in National 1, Melrose are back at the Green Yards. They take on Highland in second place at the moment, and up till a couple of games ago were the only club anywhere near Ayr in the table. But they haven't won in their last 3 games, and that's more or less handed the title to Ayr. Here's head coach for Melrose, Ian Chisholm.
We're waiting on a few boys becoming available after medical. Gershon McKendy, he's struggling with a hamstring and a shoulder injury. He would be a massive help for us coming forward. Based on the performance up at Canal Park, we still gave ourselves an opportunity to win the game despite playing with 13 men for a large part of that. We had a scrum that was going backwards at a rate of knots, and the pleasing thing for me is that we're working things out in the hoof. We're finding solutions to the problems that we've got. The guys they're getting their heads together, they're hot reviewing, they're just coming up with an action plan to take us forward. And look, that's, as a coaching group, we can't be there to give them answers all the time. We have to empower them to make decisions themselves without actually coming to us and saying, what do you think of this? We need them to show a bit of intent themselves and a bit of endeavour themselves, and we see that quite often from them. It's about putting actions to our words. We've been hurt a few times this season. Glasgow Accies one of them, Bigger at Home was another one, and Away was another one. And every week it's a new set of 7. It's a new opportunity for us to have a go and try and meet our performance measures and let people enjoy pulling on the jersey with their pals.
Yeah, another game that's it's a tough one to call. I've not seen Highland in the flesh, but if, as Ian says there, they were ultra dominant at scrum time in the reverse fixture earlier in the season, then the last thing Melrose need is losing McKendy. So yeah, they don't need to lose any props at the moment, Melrose, because they've got a bit of a shortage there. Hutchison is back after Dubai. Possibly their cancelled game at Gala last week was a blessing. It's given them an extra week to come together, if you like, and almost sort themselves out after their result. But yeah, it's a tough one to call because Highland are second in the table, and obviously they've got a bit about them up front, and they tend to have a bit of Fijian flair in the backs as well.
Well, in National 2, there's a huge match between first and second. It's Peebles against Falkirk at the Gites, and Peebles looking for the double over the league leaders. Their head coach is Graham Patterson.
Massive test for us, and I think for Falkirk as well, as one plays 2 in the league, so it's these games that the guys and supporters and everybody connected with the clubs look forward to, and that's what you're looking for, that kind of real bite in the game and as to what it means, and effectively Falkirk either stay at the top or we can overtake them if we win. So it's a kind of a shootout to see who then goes into Christmas with a bit of a steal on each other. Looking at threats of Falkirk, we know that they're a very good counter-attacking team. We need to be really on our toes defensively when they have the ball, making sure that we don't give them time to identify those spaces, and also just try and take that space away from them as well. So yeah, we've been working on that in training, and there has been a bit of an extra edge to training almost. We look to put them under real pressure because we want to test the guys at training to see how they react and see who fills the spaces. There won't be a huge amount of changes in the squad. We've done really well over the last number of weeks and improved our game. So I think, yeah, there's that edge to training, but it's about the guys stepping up that maybe haven't been in the jersey to see what they can offer, and that's what we've given them opportunities at training to try and show us, the coaches and their fellow players as well, what they can do and what they're capable of. So there is a couple of kind of real conversations about a couple of key positions for us to have, but a pretty settled squad. So yeah, looking forward to a great game. I'm pretty sure it will be. Falkirk are always a pretty positive side in terms of their rugby. We're trying to be that as well, so hopefully it's a good spectacle for everybody to see.
Graham Patterson, well, very close at the top. Falkirk 47, Peebles 46, Newton Stewart 45, Lastwade 43. That's the sort of league that we always love. Newton Stewart have played one game more and have gone undefeated after 2 defeats in their first 2 games, but Peebles in a really good place.
There's 4 teams right in the shake-up. Of course, Peebles are one of them. It's a huge 2 weeks for the club. They've got Falkirk at home, game of the weekend for me as far as border clubs are concerned. Peebles at home to Falkirk, second v first, and then Peebles are away to Lastwade next weekend. So yeah, if Peebles can beat Falkirk, and at the same time put a dent in Falkirk's championship aspirations, then they go into next week with huge confidence. And yeah, it's going to be a great occasion, a great game. at the Gates there under the lights on Saturday.
And then in 7 days' time, we'll be there at Hoffenden.
Been there before, good setup at Last Wade. That'll be a real challenge for Peebles, irrespective of what happens in their game against Falkirk this week. But yeah, looking forward to getting up there next week. Like I say, good setup, and it's going to be another cracking game.
We'll be able to give you the full commentary for that, and then cross over for Kelso against Mar, second half commentary for that one. But we'll return to that in 7 days' time. But still in National 2, and Berwick could do Peebles a big favour at Scremerston tomorrow. They welcome Last Wade, who are in 4th position. Berwick forwards coach is Paul Pringle.
We've had really, really close games with Last Wade over the last couple of seasons. They've always been, good games, plenty of tries, and really kind of strong matches. So we're not expecting anything less. They're obviously having a pretty good season. It was very, very close up there, as you've seen earlier in the season, and bounce of the ball, the right decision taken by us at key critical moments of the match, and it might have been a different result. So we know we can definitely compete with them, and we're just really looking forward to getting this match on. It was disappointing last week that we the game fell foul of the weather where we were going up to Falkirk. It gives us an opportunity to get a game back at Scremerston on what is ex-Players' Day, so there's always the added incentive that there's many ex-players there watching, who I'm sure will offer a raft of advice to the lads in the clubhouse afterwards. So I'm sure that they'll want to put a show on. Selection wise, we were pretty largely unchanged from the last couple of games. We should be fairly settled now. We're still waiting on a late injury assessment on Captain Ali Grieve, whether he can return to the fold or not. That shouldn't impact things too much. We'll continue on. We have preparations either way as to who can step into that fold, so I'm sure that whoever that is will do a good job should he fail that fitness test.
Well, games between these two have been very close over the past few years, and Berwick have home advantage for this one. Where's this one going?
That's a good question, actually, Stuart. As you mentioned, this pair have duked it out in recent times in the division below. We were at Scremerston after Last Wade admittedly had won the division, but Berwick did a number on them that day. The table would suggest, purely the table on paper of course, that it's not going to be that easy for Berwick this week, but Scremerston in December, never easy for anybody. But if Last Wade have got aspirations and they're in that 4-horse race, if they've got aspirations of going up, then it's a game they need to win, of course. But Berwick will be looking at this one thinking they can get something from it as well. Last Wade, of course, got Peter Wright at the helm. Always a colourful character on the touchline is Peter. So yeah, good to see him having Last Wade going well.
Well, let's have a look at the East League now, and Langham take on Leith at Milltown, who are below them in the table and should get over the line in this one. Here's the words of head coach Craig Hislop.
This weekend we welcome Leith down to Milton, a team that we've played over the years, and they've pretty much got the better of us with the results. Hopefully we can change that on Saturday, weather permitting. We get the game, chance to go third in the table. Our goal is to finish high up the league as we can, set us in the way for next season. Squad wise, we're pretty much unchanged from our recent victory over Haddington. Couldn't make it 4 wins in a row.
Well, he kind of hinted at it there, doesn't he? He's planning for next season.
Yeah, and we've spoken before about how Langham have found their feet as the season has progressed, and in recent weeks they've been going really well. It was a brilliant win last time out against Haddington, and they're now sitting on 26 points. Broughton just a point above them, and yeah, as you mentioned, they're playing Leith, who are on 10 points below them in the league, second bottom. So absolutely yes, Langham will looking at a game that can take minimally 4 points from, and Craig's right to be looking up the league as far as they can. It looks like Linlithgow are going to be promoted, but if Langham continue in the way that they're going, then they're looking at next season thinking we're going to be right up in now that we've found our feet in the division, we're going to be right in the shake-up.
Well, in East League 2 tomorrow, Hawick Harlequins visit Christophin. Let's bring in Quins fly half Adam Hall.
Yeah, it seems a while since we played our last game against Livingston, a good few weeks ago now. We've not done much training in the last few weeks because of the weather, but most teams have been in the same boat. Our away form has been pretty indifferent, to be honest, this season. I know the Lindeen game was technically away from home, but it doesn't really count as an away trip for us. So we're hoping to change our fortunes on the road this week and get a result against a team that we beat at home. They were a decent side and they led for most of the game at Wilton Lodge Park, and they've recently beat the Lindeen down in Hawick, so we know they're a good outfit. We think we'll be able to put a decent side together to hopefully make a good game of it and hopefully end 2023 on a high with a win.
Adam Hall. Now, Quins, as he said, beat Christophe comfortably at home, but they've lost the last 3 matches, so this is really one where they can get back on the horse again.
If we look at this particular division, there's 3 teams at the top, and then there's a bit of a gulf to Christophe and Quins, who are on 21 and 19 points respectively. The Quins can leapfrog Christophe, and they beat them at home, they can beat them away. We always speak about this division, that, depends what squad you can assemble for an away game. It's always easier a home game, more bodies available. But yeah, if they can go up there and win, then they're comfortably in mid-table, they're in the top half, and another team that are finding their way in a division above.
It's a funny old setup in the East League, isn't it? Because I've been looking at the fixtures. Lindeen have 3 games in January, and then they're finished. That's it. Quins have got 1 game in December, 1 in January, 1 in February, 1 in March, and 1 in April. Doesn't make sense.
You're right, it doesn't make a great deal of sense if one club's done and dusted in January and another club's, waiting weeks in between games to finish in April. Needs to be a wee bit more joined up thinking than that, surely. There will be a reason for it, I guess, but doesn't seem to be all that logical to me.
A very tricky task for Hawick Lindeen this week, who visit Dunbar tomorrow. Bring us news on this one. Here's Gary Alexander.
We played them in October up at Hall Hill and eventually went down 43-19, although we put in actually a really good performance, especially first half. We were only 12-7 down heading into the break, and we got a bit of an unlucky call. A big knock-on was missed that led to a converted try, so that was 19-7 at half time, and there was a wee bit of a momentum shift for there. So as I say, we hopefully we can get a result on Saturday, because there's 3 teams in the bottom 4 that there's not much between us in number of points gained. I think if anybody picks up 1 or 2 wins, they might shift 1 or 2 places up the table, so that's what we'll be trying to do. I hope, and as I say, we should get a game this week. The 3G comes into its own in this type of weather. Can't always contend with frost, but with the amount of rain there's been through November into December, the frost, this bit of snow, there's got to be a lot of heavy grounds in the borders, but we're actually getting a double header. Hawick Youth and Tynedale, thank them that they're kicking off 12:45, and then thanks to Dunbar, ours is knocked back an hour to 3 o'clock. So we'll get 2 games in the 3G, so anybody that likes their rugby, get up to the Volunteer Park on Saturday and you'll get 2 games for the price of 1.
Yeah, I'm certainly that's going to be something to look forward to in the Hawick area. Hawick Lindeen playing Dunbar tomorrow, and I think they'll have a really good chance at that.
Yeah, as Gary said, the game's sure to be on, and it's a it's a fast, it's going to be a fast track, as they call it, and because it's on the 3G. But yeah, looking at the table, there's a gulf between the 2 teams, and the Lindeen obviously lost up there earlier in the season. But yeah, they can, any home game they've got to be looking at and saying, right, well, yeah, we can have a crack at these.
Well, Duns are also playing in Division 2. They play top of the table Livingston. Into East League 3, Earlston at home to Edinburgh Northern. This from head coach Cammy Hill.
After last weekend's game against Galloway M being off due to the weather, we have Edinburgh Northern coming to Hawk. When we played them earlier in the season, it was a pretty shabby game. We just edged the game out 17-14, so we know it's going to be a really tough game at the weekend. They're a big side, which caught us out a little bit last time. Obviously, they played quite a lot of game through their forwards, very tight, and obviously they capitalised on our soft defence around the breakdown. So that's something we've worked on a lot, and we've tried to tighten up a bit. But we've also been working a lot on our attacking shape, because when we played them up there, when we used the ball and got it through the hands and got it wide, we caused them a lot of problems. We scored 2 good tries off it, and it's the same as we've done all season. We caused a lot of problems with our centres and our wingers and our fullback coming into the game, so hopefully we can get more of that on Saturday. Obviously, it's a huge game for both teams. We are looking to stay up top, and obviously Northern are looking to catch us, and if they get a bonus point win at any point, they can join us and Trinity on the same point, so it's a massive game for both teams. Squad wise, we're pretty similar at the side we were going to field last weekend, but the good news is we have captain Ali Sessward coming back, Aaron Patterson's back to bolster the squad, so they're 2 really good additions that we're bringing in again.
Yeah, certainly very tight at the top there. We can confirm that game that was off last week against Galloway IM, they're going to have to wait 8 weeks to the end of March to complete that. That could be a nervous 8 weeks for them.
It could be, my word. How can that be? But it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, big game this. We've 3 top teams in this division, and it's going to be a dogfight between now and the end of the season.
And Gala YM are at home to Lismore. That's the team who, you'll remember, took Earlston's unbeaten record with their only win of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how Gala YM get on with them. But that's it for today. We'll be live on Rugby Radio from 1:30 tomorrow, coming to you direct from Philip Hawke with full commentary of Selkirk against Kelso in the Premiership. We'll have television highlights of that game on Sunday, and our new Scottish Club Rugby podcast, episode 15, is now available, taking a look at the club scene in Scotland. But that's it for tonight from Robin and me. Bye bye for now.